and motivational leader with more than 11 years of experience across different parts of the world in P&L, sales, strategy, operations, product, and project management. He has completed his bachelor's and master's from IIT Madras with an incredible track record of building high-performance teams, products, businesses, and delivering results. As an electric vehicle, that is EV evangelist, he has been recently recognized as 40 under 40, India's young dynamic EV leaders, and he has been evangelizing and crusading the electric vehicle adoption, representing EVs in various national and international platforms. He also works closely with Niti Aayog Committee, which is formed by Central Government of India, and Rocky Mountain Institute in their urban mobility labs, EV policy making of Delhi government, and also with Telangana state government in India. Rajeev YSR is currently nurturing and running electric vehicle or EV cohorts in partnership with the government of Telangana, India, to nurture talent and entrepreneurs in the field of the EV industry. In today's episode, let's get Rajiv's insights on EV. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, TGV, for a better future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. So, folks, in case if you have tuned into our podcast for the first time, you have missed a lot of stuff. But don't worry, all our podcasts are available. All our previous episodes are available on the podcast platforms that you have been listening to. And also, we are on YouTube. Also, if you have not rated us on Apple, request you to provide your rating and leave a positive review. Every rating and review will motivate us to bring in more and more content to you. This is your host, Naveen Samala, and I have about 18 years of rich and diverse experience in the IT world. And in every episode, we interact with industry experts or thought leaders or academicians or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help each one of you learn some amazing things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. Folks, you'll acquire more knowledge by tuning into TGV per every minute than any other podcast in this space. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today we are going to discuss a topic: are EVs, the electric vehicles, the next big thing? And we are pleased to have Rajeev, part of TGV's journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Rajeev, welcome to TGV.
Hey, Naveen, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be on TGV and helping out people through TGV. Thank you very much. And it's a great initiative, Naveen. Yes.
All right. Pleasure to have you on board, Rajeev. Rajeev, you have crafted an illustrious career journey, right, in a very short span compared to me. Can we talk briefly about top three things that I have achieved? Can you talk briefly about top three things that have helped you so far in achieving certain great things?
Yeah. So thank you very much, Naveen. This is one question which I get asked the most. And I'm always more than happy to answer this question because I don't take this as a question, but then I take this as an opportunity to inspire generations, right, that they could also do it. First thing anybody needs to have is the dream, right? The ability to see the invisible is what I call as dream, right? When I passed out of my engineering in 2010, right, I finished my bachelor's and master's. I started my first job with a company called TVS Motors Company as senior design engineer. Then I said to myself that in less than 10 years from now, can I be a CXO? Well, then I also clearly mentioned to myself, it's not about starting my own company and becoming a CEO of that company, right? That's pretty easy. An established firm, a firm that was run by board and professional management, where the talent and the performance is recognized, and I'm given the opportunity to lead the organization. Right? That was a very, very clear dream that I was able to see. That was in 2010. And in the year 2019, by the grace of God, even before the 10th year struck the chord, 2019 was when I was appointed as the Chief Operating Officer of a company called Avan India, which is a subsidiary of Gati Logistics. So The first one is the dream. Okay. Second one is the ability to behave and deliver as an entrepreneur. Example, if I were to tell to myself that I will start behaving as a CEO only after I become a CEO, then there is something wrong. So what I have done since 2010 onwards, every role that was given to me, I started looking at that role as a chief executive officer's role. I started thinking like a CEO. I started talking like a CEO. I started behaving, walking, and handling like a CEO. And when the actual time has come that I'm titled as a COO, it was not a surprise to me, right? So I would say that everybody who really wants to be that needs to have, this is what we have a beautiful terminology called entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur within an organization is entrepreneur, right? So first one is, I would say, dream. Second one is the quality of being an entrepreneur. And third, and then the most important thing is very, very difficult, but very important, is perseverance, right? At this point of time, I would like to share a small story, which I generally share with many people. There was a village where I would say one young man makes money by, I would say, breaking the boulders into smaller stones in the quarry, selling them off. So one day he went to the quarry as usual, and then he saw a huge boulder that is almost, I would say, 5x to his size. And then he wondered, will he be able to break that? Nevertheless, anyway, since it was his routine, he attempted his best to hit it. He started hitting it, but generally the boulders would give up probably in his 10th or 20th hits. But he was able to do until 70, but then the boulder was standing as strong and tall as it had been. He did up to 90, gave it up, moved on to the next boulder. But some voice told him that, why are you giving up? Right? You have already hit 90. Why don't you try a few more? Right? So then he said, anyway, I intend to hit another boulder. Let me try a couple of things. 91, 92, 99, nothing happened. But it is at that 100th stroke, that huge boulder had to give up and give in to the strong will and perseverance demonstrated by that young man. So, this is a quality I strongly recommend that everybody must pick it up, master it, and hone it, because nothing, literally nothing, can stand against the strength of perseverance. So, those three that you have asked me: one, ability to dream; two, living the dream, right? I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I started behaving like an entrepreneur; and three, perseverance. Thank you, Naveen.
Fantastic. Excellent story, by the way. It reminded me of another story which was shared by Mr. Ratnaswamy. He belongs to this Thyrocare founders family. He's one of the siblings and all, and we were fortunate to interview him on TGV. And this goes very well with our own story of the guiding voice. Like we have already crossed 180 episodes and all, but we couldn't reach where we actually have to be, right? And he told us one thing. There is a 99 monkey philosophy wherein, if at all, you never know, somebody will come in the form of a 99th monkey, and that number could happen at 10 or 20 or whatever it is. But once you get there, it will go viral. Don't give up. You just continue, right? It reminded me of that. And yeah, these kind of stories are very motivational. Thank you for sharing that. And now let's switch topics and talk about the core of today's conversation: EVs. Right? I work for General Electric, and during the year 2010, 2011 itself, at that time, we had an innovation COE wherein our teams have started developing EV charging stations. And we had also developed the relevant software and all. Likewise, EVs have been in the market for quite a long time. But when it comes to India and also across the world, they have gained the center stage at this moment. So what could be the reason for that?
I think, Naveen, it's a very, I would say, relevant and fantastic question. If at all pandemic has taught us anything, it has taught one thing, right? that it kind of normalized the difference between the rich and the poor, right? It is not like malaria, typhoid, where only people in unhygienic conditions, only people who are deprived of nutritious food, only people who do not have access to medical facilities suffer. But COVID kind of humbled the entire humanity and brought us all to our knees and made a statement that you are a human being and you're all the same, right? Now, if at all there is any other thing that could make a similar statement, that is climate change. But here, the only, I would say, illustration that I would like to draw is COVID was talking to human beings between rich and poor, and climate change is talking to the nations of the world between developed and developing. Whether you are developed, whether you are developing, I don't really care. You hurt me, my boy, I'm going to hurt you, right? That's what climate change is saying. So this gives us a very, very clear picture that preserving the Mother Earth, maintaining the sustainability, growing cautiously and consciously in the right manner is the need of the hour and is need of every citizen and every nation. That was when, in the year 2015, though this was an old story, because that story is now, I would say, overtaken by the COP26 global summit that happened at Glasgow. But I would like to go back to 2015, right? Because in the year 2015, in the Paris conference, which is basically the United Nations framework for climate change, not just India, 196 countries came together and committed to go as aggressive as possible in terms of bringing carbon emissions to as less percentage as possible. Now, why I made this statement is, out of those 196, I would say, countries, India is very special for a simple reason that out of every 5 human beings that exist on the earth, one guy is Indian, right? So the world cannot ignore India and its commitment and move towards any kind of a gigantic ambition, right? And hence, we are in a way forced, persuaded to commit that by 2030, our renewable energy dependency will go to 40% to what it was then, and our carbon emissions will come down by 30%, not to the numbers registered in 2015, but to the numbers registered in 2005. This is very important, right? People get it wrong. People think that, okay, 2015 we signed the contract, so that means from 2015 to 2030 we will bring it down by 30%. No, the numbers registered in 2005 was the reference, and by 2030 they were to be brought down to 30%. Now, how will it happen? Definitely, one is afforestation, right? What is the other thing? Shutting down all the industries, which definitely is not an ideal option for a developing nation like India, because already the developed nations had their share of industrial revolution and they flourished and they prospered. It's our time now, and we cannot let that go like that. So the lowest hanging fruit that is available for the government is the transport sector. Why? Because 30% of air pollution is contributed by the automobile / the transport sector. So that is how converting all these fossil fuel based vehicles into EVs, if at all we do it by math, we kind of already bring it down by 30% anyways. Because in 2005, there was not that great industrialization. Majority of the pollution was only through, I would say, automobiles, right? So I think this is the reason why that EVs is no longer a developed nation's phenomena, but it is every nation's responsibility and call. To add it up, our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi made another commitment that by 2070, India would be a net zero emission country, right? So this cannot happen without 100% electrification of the mobility solutions. And that is why EVs have gained a center stage now.
Wow, that's quite a lot of information, and thank you so much for sharing the background information. And the numbers are alarming, but I think at least everybody started paying attention to the importance of EV And I've seen a lot of two-wheelers flying on Indian roads, okay, in the EV segment and all. And we are going to see further increase in that, right? And of late, these fuel prices have also propelled the acceleration of EVs in a way, right? All right. So, Rajiv, like if we look at the evolution of EVs, right? It took a long time for them to come to this level, right? So, by looking at the past, how are we going to predict the future? What are the trends that you foresee in this segment?
Yeah, definitely. See, as we speak at this point of time, the complete automobile market value is roughly 5,000 trillion dollars, right? Let me confirm whether it is trillion or billion, right? But roughly it is at around 5,000, yeah, trillion dollars. Yeah. And then the share of automobile of EVs is roughly around $160 billion, right? So we're roughly at around 3 to 4%. Okay. Now, the estimates say that by 2027, that is hardly 6 years from now, the automotive market will probably grow from 5,000 odd to say roughly 8,000 as a unit. Whereas the EV market would grow from $160 billion to $800 billion, which is almost a 5x growth. So the 3% with what it is right now is going to become close to 10% in the next 6 years, right? So that itself gives you the answer of what growth it had been so far and how accelerated growth EVs are going to take from now on.
I think we have to go on full throttle speed to achieve that, right? So from 160 billion to 800 billion, which means quite a lot of opportunities for the entrepreneurs. So this brings me my next question. What are the avenues for entrepreneurs in this space?
Great. Good question, Naveen. Now, do you know what is the biggest threat to the EV industry? Quick guess.
Shortage of electricity.
Okay. Good. So the biggest threat to EV industry is availability of relevant manpower or human resource. Because for the past, I would say 150 years or so, we have only been running after ICE vehicles. Everybody is subject matter expert in ICE vehicles. Everybody is specialized in ICE vehicles. And then the kind of 5x growth that an EV is going to happen cannot happen without the right people, relevant people, knowledgeable people in this particular industry. Even in the US, as we speak right now, there are many jobs that are being cut down in the auto industry on one hand. And at the same time, the EV industry is suffering because these jobs that were cut down are not readily replaceable or relevant to the EV industry. Right? So I think this is the right time and a right opportunity. Now, when we talk about jobs, obviously the job creators, the entrepreneurs are also part of this particular ecosystem, right? So if you also look at let me also bring the example to the Indian EV ecosystem, right? Now, who are the top EV players in the country? None of the mainstream automobile players are in the top. If you look at the existing EV players in the country, all of them are fresh newbies and startups, be it Ether, be it Electra Green, be it, I would say, Pure EV, which is basically from a Hyderabad-based company, or be it many other three-wheeler companies, whether it is Ito Motors or Gaia Motors or whosoever it are, all of them are the newbies. That means if at all there is an opportunity for new Tatas and new Mahindras to emerge, there is never a fertile time and a better timing than this.
Wow. Yeah, future seems to be very bright and immense opportunities which somebody can really explore. All right, now let's talk about how do we thrive in the EV market. If somebody wants to jumpstart as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So this is a very, very frequent question I get asked, Naveen, especially by my good friends who are right now settled in the West, making good money and a lot of money to invest at their disposal. They call me up and said, "Hey, Rajeev, can we do something in EVs together? Is there a way that I can invest?" Right? So, and this is the answer I give to all of them. It is for sure that EVs are the future, right? The very fact that a 15-year-old company was able to overtake a 150-year-old setup in terms of market cap and stand as number one is a testimonial that the future is all of EVs. I'm sure we all know what we are talking about. We are talking about the wonderful success story of Tesla overtaking the decade and half, overtaking the century and a half old Toyota in terms of the I would say largest valued vehicle company in terms of automobile, right? So, but then, can I be a Tesla? How can I become a Tesla? How can I be part and parcel of this EV market? The answer is very simple, right? I always tell them, all these friends, first invest yourself. EVs are not stock markets that you have certain money, you start monitoring certain stocks, you invest them, and then you exit at the right time. No, EVs is an ecosystem. EVs itself is, I would say, an industry, right? So I tell them that spend some time. EVs are very, I would say, loving in nature. You love them, they love you back, right? So that is the reason. And now there are these calls have become many, not only from entrepreneurs, from professionals also. Now they understood, like in the case of scarcity in IT, right, where one technology goes down, the other technology picks up, all the people become obsolete, right, and then now they jump onto the next vehicle. For the first time in 150 years, the same thing is happening for automobiles, and we are clueless because if it is IT crowd, we are anyway prepared to change our course in every 10 years, right? But this is once in a lifetime kind of a thing. So most people reach out to me asking me, "Sir, how do we prepare ourselves?" So I think to cater all these needs and to help all these entrepreneurs and professionals, I have started something called EV Masterclass out of passion and out of the enthusiasm to help them. Now, in this EV Masterclass, I talk about everything. See, for example, whatever I spoke, the numbers and then the policies and all, these are all part of the EV Masterclass. I talk about the global context. I talk about the Indian context. I talk about the visible and invisible forces that are driving the electric vehicle industry. I talk about lobbying. I talk about the technologies. I talk about the players in the technology. I talk about different business models, anything and everything. In fact, once you go through the EV Masterclass cohort, you will no longer be an alien to EV, but you can always call yourself as whatsoever your first name is. You can call Doctor bracket EV and then continue your name. That's the guarantee that I give. After that cohort, no entrepreneur will have to require to do a market intelligence or a market analysis. No entrepreneur will have to recruit a consultant to help him understand. He will be thoroughly equipped. He will be thoroughly, I would say, informed, and he can make the right wise decisions. And I'm not just leaving from there. From there, if there are people who are really committed and then wanted to move onwards, I am offering myself as a mentor to them, where I'll be hand holding them to become the next unicorn. Why do I do this? For a simple reason that I really want India. We already missed the industrial revolution, Naveen. And at this point of time, China has already, I would say, advanced a lot in terms of EV. If at all there is any market in the country that can beat the volumes of China, that is only India. And we cannot afford to miss the industry, this electric vehicle revolution. And I have my own selfish ambition to be taking some corner space, right? When the future generations reflect back and say, "Hey, what happened to India and where was it?" I wanted to be recognized as one person who played probably a small, tiny role, but I want to be there.
Wow, very inspiring. And those numbers speak a lot, like 15-year-old company beating or overtaking 150-year-old company. And I would like to know more about your EV masterclass for the benefit of the audience. Is it available online or offline, in the sense in person, or how do people register? In case if you could share the link, it will be available in the form of a show notes wherein our audience can refer to.
Fantastic. So I will definitely share that particular link, and let me also explain you the structure of the EV
Yeah,
masterclass,
yeah,
Naveen.
yeah.
So this EV masterclass has got multiple avatars, right? Because I strongly believe that you cannot have one single tool for everything, right? So people who are looking for profession and a career start, like students, they need some kind of knowledge. People who are already into profession but are trying to pivot their career around EVs, they need a different angle of the same knowledge. And entrepreneurs need altogether different thing, right? So generally what happens is, basis the kind of nature you are, the content is already created, the content is already developed, the content is recorded and is available on the internet. I'm going to guide you, and every week once I'm going to interact with all these batches. Every week a module is released. As and when the module is completed, I'm going to reflect upon that module where people can ask questions. I will talk to them, I will answer their questions. And that is how, probably in maybe around 20-25 modules, right? That is 20-25 hours roughly of time, they will be able to become the expert. See, it is like we are trying to do a crash course of a specific engineering slash an MBA branch called EV. Why I said engineering slash MBA? Because my EV cohort doesn't necessarily stop with only the engineering aspects of it, but it also gets into the different business models and the auxiliary and peripheral business models also. And also, let me tell you, when I shared this with my industry friends, right, that this is something that I wanted to start and I want to help, many CXOs jumped in and said that, you know what, I want to be mentor on EV Masterclass. So as we speak, we have more than, I would say, 15 mentors on the EV Masterclass who are, again, not a senior engineer or a GM or an AGM. All of them are either the CEOs or the CTOs or the COOs, right? So for the first time in the industry, we have created a cohort which is far beyond, much above a regular academic curriculum, but very highly industry centric, where the facilitation is done by the industry leaders, CXOs themselves. Isn't it wonderful and beautiful, Naveen?
It
So
is.
this is what I would say differentiates and positions this particular EV masterclass differently from any of the other. I would say, like you rightly said, the frees have no value. I completely believe it, because the producers also need motivation to produce the right content, right? And that only happens when those are recognized. Correct. So I think that is the reason we have the CEO of Kinetic. You know, right? You would have driven Luna, Kinetic Honda. Their CEO, Sulaja Firodia, is our mentor. The automotive director from the government of Telangana, Mr. Gopal Krishna, is our mentor. Karthik Haryani, who is the CEO of Charge Zone, India's leading charging infra company, is our mentor. Mr. Venkat Rajaraman, who is the CEO of Sydney Energy, the leading battery and BMS company, is our mentor. And of course, I'm there as a chief mentor, anchoring everything. So you are in the best safe hands possible to really equip yourself to the future of EV industry.
That sounds so interesting and fascinating. Yeah, I look forward for the details. All right. So yeah, this has been fabulous conversation, and slightly shifting gears and talking about the mentorship. I think you are now recognized as the best mentor by T-Hub in the state of Telangana. So congratulations on that. And I would like you to share some of your mentoring experiences. Like, what kind of challenges are the startups facing, and what should they do differently?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Naveen, because it was even a surprise to me. Yesterday, I received day before yesterday, I received a mail, generally any other mail from T-Hub, saying that tomorrow we are celebrating 6th anniversary. So please be there and be part of the, I would say, the celebrations. Since I did not, because any one of the mails, then I received a call again in the afternoon yesterday asking, "Sir, are you coming?" I said, "No, I have." Said, "No, please ensure that you come, because it is going to be fun." I was never revealed that there is something in store for me, right? So the program started at 5, but I finished all my meetings and I went at 6:15. The whole auditorium is all full, etc. Then I went and then I said, then they have been giving awards to different startups, etc. Because in T-Hub, there are more than, I would say, 25 to 30 mentors already, right? And I'm the youngest one, of course. So I rarely, even in my wildest dreams, would ever think that I would get recognized. So I was sitting there. I was watching different felicitation and different awards, and I'm clapping for them. And then before me there was one mentor. Said, yes, I think he will be the mentor, and that is that. Then the announcement came that now we would like to invite India's 40 under 40, the motivational speaker, faculty, EV evangelist. And I was like, don't tell me that you're calling me, right? And I was really thrilled, right? So out of so many mentors, it was one is the other senior gentleman, and it was other one is me. So he was in a different category, and I was given the best mentor award. So it was very. I mean, see, T-Hub mentoring is a very, I would say, benevolent act, right? You don't get paid. That's your time and your passion that you put in. And you don't mentor students, you actually mentor companies, and companies who are surviving, who are fighting for their survival, companies who want to really make a difference, right? So when you interact with their founders, they're not going to ask questions, hi, how are you? Had you have your breakfast and things like that. They're really going to ask you very, very tough questions, and your mentoring and your guidance probably might put them in the right direction, and or might not put them in the right direction, right? So you will have to exercise all your faculty, you will have to exercise and reflect upon all your experience and bring and give the best, I would say, guidance and mentoring that is possible, right? So this is very tiring, and then the returns, nothing in terms of monetary, but in terms of satisfaction, great, because you always have that, yes, that's the company which I was able to help become what they are, right? So that was there. Now, what kind of a challenges startup face during this? See, whenever startups look at somebody as a mentor, the general temptation of startups is, what do I get from him? Can I get some funding? Can I get some business connects? Can I get, how do I increase my business? Which of course is okay to have, right? But that need not be the primary criteria. The primary criteria is, who is this person? What is the experience that he's bringing? How can I kind of understand and take it from his experience, right? From his learnings, and avoid the possible pitfalls and possible mistakes, and then grow faster, scale faster, accelerate faster. I think so. When startups come with these kind of expectations, right, that is where I find it a little challenging. But of course, I kind of slowly encourage them, divert them, and deviate them, and put them into the right track that they should be, right? And what should they do differently? Yeah, the startups must seek to understand what is the value that they can extract. That value need not be directly proportional to their increase in revenue, directly proportional to increase in sales. They need not consider mentor as one of the lead for their sales. Try to get what value you can extract from those mentors, internalize that value, and then demonstrate its, I would say, amplification in the actions. Your mentor is not a lead generator for your business, please.
Great insights. I thoroughly enjoy your energy.
Thank you, David.
All
Thanks,
right.
God.
So fantastic conversation so far. And let's lighten up the episode. I'm going to ask you a few interesting rapid fire questions wherein you can answer them briefly, so that we can lighten up the mood of our audience as well, and they'll get an opportunity to know other side of Rajeev. Are you okay?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let me fire the first bullet. Yeah. Let me fire the first bullet. So, given a chance, would you time travel to past or future?
I somehow want to travel to the future.
Okay.
I'm always curious what the future has in store for us. So yeah, given a choice, I'll travel to the future.
Future is going to be very bright, shiny, rosy, and all. That's what I've been getting to know after interacting with so many guests, and all of them want to travel to future. All right. So moving on, here comes my next one. Which celebrity would you be dating with if you are given a chance?
This is so bad question. Why only one celebrity? I would like to probably spend time and have good conversations with as many as possible, and not again restricted to just the female gender alone, but even for the male gender, right? Because see, I'm sure you agree, right? As mentor, while you mentor, you also kind of become a mentee. See, for example, while I'm talking to you, I'm learning a lot from the conversation that we both are having, right? So, and when you talk about celebrities, they definitely are one of the stars in their own industries, right? So this is a very tough question. I want to meet celebrities of politics, I want to meet celebrities of sports, I want to meet celebrities of Bollywood, Hollywood, everybody, and spend as much time as possible, right? So don't please restrict me with one.
That's a very smart answer. And yeah, I see that passion in you in terms of learning as many things as possible. All right. So with that note, let me move on to the next one. So what is one hidden talent that no one knows about you?
Uh, I don't think there is any talent that have closed it that nobody knows. I sing, I dance, I act. But probably during the college, I've done this a lot. I also contested in elections, right? And then so I don't think there's anything that is hidden that people do not know. But probably people in a work culture may not be exposed to my dancing and my acting and my singing skills, and people in the family culture may not be exposed to my I would say ability to connect with people, with whether it is with one-on-one or with one-to-many. I think again, I don't take any credit for myself. I believe it is all God's grace, because I haven't really, of course, I developed certain skills, but the inherent traits were God's blessings alone. Even with probably 100,000 audience, I'm equally able to inspire and interact with them. This talent may not be known to our family, right? So there are different, I would say, shades of people who get exposed to me, but there is nothing. I mean, if at all there is something at the end of my life that I want to look at myself and say that God, you've given me these talents, and I have made sure that all of these talents are used to the best of their abilities, and I was able to inspire and move and bring positive impact on as many people as possible, right? This is the life you have given to me, and this is what I've done it with my life, and here it is, take it, right? I think that's the statement I want to stand on the day when I stand before the Lord. So there is nothing that is hidden, which I call it as a talent, and I'm there to completely exhaust them and equip others with them.
Awesome. Fabulous. All right, let me move on to my next one.
Yes, please.
Is it invisibility or super strength? Which one would you prefer?
Super strength.
Okay, great. With that, let me fire the last bullet out of the rapid fire. What is one message that you would like to give to your own younger version?
Probably I would say that, hey, Rajiv, take it easy. Yeah, you are ambitious. You really want to run. You really want to chase. But I think you can still, you're doing really good. Don't push yourself too much. Take it easy. Enjoy the moment while you do it. And right, I would only say that take it easy, man. It's too much. Yeah.
Wonderful. That was a mesmerizing rapid fire. And with that, let me shift gears and go back or flip back to the mainstream and ask you one final question for this conversation. So, Rajiv, what will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to dream big and make big in their careers, just like you?
Yeah. So my sincere advice to everybody is: do you know where is the world's fiercest battle happening right now? It's not in Israel. It's not in Syria. It's not in Europe or US or Kazakhstan or Taliban. The world's fiercest battle that's happening right now is between your ears, right? It's your brain. That's the toughest and then the fiercest battlefield. You want to do something, your thought immediately comes to you and then says, you can't do it, right? You want to attempt something, you get immediate thought that, can you really do it, right? Or probably people would call you names and says that, hey, it is not cut out for you, right? Defeat them here. Defeat them here, right? It is always to do with what you intend to do, right? Always have these three: dream big, plan big, and be there with perseverance. Don't give up, don't give in. And one day, your dreams and your goals will have to give up and give in to your perseverance.
Very motivational. Thank you so much. That was fantastic set of thoughts. And I'm sure all the audience that are listening to this episode or watching this episode would get immense benefit out of it. So, Rajiv, thank you so much for joining us today. And it was great to talk about the EV domain and also all the motivation and inspiration that you have shared. It's going to be cherished by me as well as the audience for a long time.
Thank you very much, Naveen. Thank you for having me on the Guiding Voice. In fact, it is very, very, I would say, fantastic conversing with you for the last, I would say, 40 minutes. And all these questions, I believe, were well thought, well structured, and rightly positioned. So I enjoyed all the questions. I enjoyed every conversation. And I wish the TGV all the very best. May you continue to impact and influence as many lives and as many souls as possible. All the very best. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all the kind words and thanks for being here. All right. So, folks, before we move into trivia section, here is a request. In case if you have loved this episode just like I did, and if you have found it useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from TGV. Because the more you share, the wider we reach, and we'll get closer to our mission of reaching millions across the globe. Thank you so much in advance. Also, please subscribe to us from wherever you have tuned in. All right, now let's hop on to the trivia segment of today's episode. Since we spoke about the EV domain, I would like to share a few facts about EV. And before I share the facts, let me ask the question. Do you know when was the first EV created? I know you are thinking, but it was the year 1832 when the first electric vehicle was created. And now let's jump on to some facts about EV. Nearly half the EVs in the world are in China. And here comes the next fact. An EV would cost only $1 in energy to travel the same distance as a gallon of gas, which currently averages about $3. And one interesting fact is about 57% of the consumers avoid EVs because they worry about running out of charge, but only 5% of owners in reality have run out of charge while they are traveling. Interesting, isn't it? That's all for today. I'm more than glad to receive your comments and feedback wherever you have tuned into. And if not, you can email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. It is the guiding voice, 4 as a digit, U as a letter, @gmail.com. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. And there is more in store. Just stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. We're signing off for today. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest and another trending topic.